Can I have a piece? Thanks. Following weekend.
Let me see over some of the Boston chairs. Gay babies, actually.
I figured, but that's great. Ooh, let's just compare how they go. So I decided to show off.
What was the shopping mall called? The shopping mall called.
I heard the party was well attended.
I'm scared. You don't know what they are.
Either have just enough or not enough money. I'll go to everyone.
sure enough time for everybody to see.
Too far away.
And the mayor takes 1 million of the taxpayers' money and give to them. 1 million of taxpayers' money give to these people a year. $1 million.
John.
No wonder America is going to raise going. And the black mayor takes 1 million of the taxpayers' money and give to them. 1 million taxpayers' money and give to these people. And they don't have police to put in there. 1 million taxpayers' money give to these people. Then they turn around and give June and on is the homosexual money. Yes, I mean, that's why America is going down. I mean, you know, nobody can trouble them. Nobody don't need to trouble them, but it's not disgrace, man.
Oh, shit. I know life is a bitch, man. Shit.
So basically,
Come on with us. Where do you want? Look around.
pride! Now! What do we have? Gay pride! Now! Gay pride! Now! What do we have? Gay pride! When do we have it? Now! What do we have? Gay pride! When do we have it? Now! What do we have? Gay pride! When do we have it? Now! What do we have? Gay pride! When do we have it? Now! Gay pride!
Gay pride.
Got to have a good time. Yes, now that you follow every day. They don't want to love you all the way. Pick it up. Well, pick it up now. Just love, protect love. Just love, protect love. Pick it up. Just love. Pick it up.
And could we move this with a chant? My favorite chant? Are we ready? We are everywhere, we will be free. 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 And I don't hear any of you. We are everywhere, we will be free. Thank you. Welcome to the task force's 20th year anniversary of the Stonewall riots. For centuries in this country, subjected gay men and lesbian women to the death penalty, to imprisonment, to physical and psychological torture, and rape and extortion. We have confronted discrimination and economic sanctions in our professional lives and in our personal lives. We have confronted the emotional pain and anger that stems from the stigmatization and the devaluation of who we are, who we choose to love, and how we choose to love. The devaluation of our lives is certainly alive and well among liberal supporters and not so liberal enemies. In the White House, well named, in the halls of Congress, in judicial chambers, in the schools, in broadcast and print media, and as you may have noticed, most particularly this week, in the bowels of the Philadelphia City Council. What do you think of City Council? What do you think of Philadelphia City Council? 9 members of council affirmed a Lesbian and Gay Pride Month resolution. No, not quite. While they were affirming the Lesbian and Gay Pride Month resolution, they lamented the lack of a cure for homosexuality and called for religious tolerance of sinners, us. And those were some of our so-called friends. 8 council members renounced the Pride resolution as simply unfathomable and an interesting coalition of the upper class and the lower class, though it's certainly difficult to tell one from the other sociologically in our city council. Although dominant heterosexual institutions may from time to time acknowledge the gay and lesbian community, I don't know that it's particularly relevant. What is relevant is that we affirm our identity as a people, as human beings, as lesbian women and gay men. Yes, let me hear it. Only we can and affirm our being. The Franny Raffertys and the Thatcher Longstress of Philadelphia cannot imagine what we could possibly be proud of. And we are here today to show them what we have to be proud of, and it is us. And I want to speak for one moment before handing the floor over to our MC and our many, many wonderful speakers today. Stonewall sparked a grassroots liberation movement in this country. It was a movement that I want each of us to remember was catalyzed by the courage of black, gay, drag queens and Puerto Rican transvestites who fought back against police oppression. This was not and cannot be a white, middle, upper class movement. Stonewall was a moment in history that transformed a small homophile movement based, if not steeped, in a philosophy of accommodation and assimilation to one, finally, of confrontation and militancy. I underscore militancy. Informed by and modeled after the Black Liberation Movement and the Women's Liberation Movement, lesbian and gay organizations now abound in major metropolitan cities. And those organizations may use a mix of strategies, but accommodation, one of them, is used too often. Does indeed threaten the very social fabric of every institution in this country, including the patriarchal family, and that's exactly what we intend to do for radical social change. The lesbian and gay community, organizationally and as individuals, cannot afford to be lured by short-lived bribes by any person or any institution in exchange for our silence or respectability or accommodation in our own. Require neither acceptance nor tolerance. Rather, we simply demand the right to share in the benefits and the privileges of the society we live in, and demand that right for all people. Are you out in the workplace? And you're sure out on the street. But you see, there are few of us here today, given the 250,000 of lesbian women and gay men who live in this greater Delaware Valley. We are the vanguard. But coming out is only the beginning of a lesbian and gay revolution. It is not the end of it. Coming out doesn't need the dominant heterosexual culture to like us or to respect us. We need a revolution of values, of social arrangements, of economic arrangements that will enable us to live on this planet as free and equal human beings, and as women loving women and men loving men. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce you to Larry Gross, a true warrior, co-chair of the Philadelphia Lesbian and Gay Task Force, who will MC this rally.
We've got to start meeting like this more often. I'm sure most of you have heard about the theological debate in City Council last week. Monsignor Tayun debating the Reverend Rafferty about whether God created sin. Well, we know now who controls the weather. If the sun we provided today gets a little too hot, go take a brief break in the fountain and then come back. That's what it's there for. I'd like now to introduce Lamont Steptoe, a Vietnam veteran and a respected poet who has read at the Library of Congress, Temple University, University of Massachusetts, Free Library of Philadelphia, and most recently at the Africa Americas Festival. Lamont is the author of Crimson River and American Morning Morning. His third book, which you should be ready to buy, Uncle's South China Sea Blue Nightmare, will be released this fall. Lamont.
Honored to be asked to be part of this today and to be out here with all of you, my brothers and sisters. God must be a bisexual for providing us this great weather. I would like to dedicate my reading today to James Baldwin and Joe Bean. For James Baldwin, like a godhead, your words thunder and lightning all around us. In this torrential nuclear downpour, Noah is well hidden. Stained by the empire's clay, we await the final day, while you, like some fine-tuned piano, just keep pounding out the blues. Good news. 'Cause of you, we the only ones with any feelings left. Baldwin sleeps. Like a lion in repose, he sleeps. A stony snore, marble night, smooth as an ocean of forever. And my last Baldwin poem, Baldwin, a black cat. His language was a lion's roar. He moved with the grace of a panther. He wore his fame like a leopard skin. Larry mentioned that I was in Vietnam. This poem was written concerning before I went to Vietnam. My asshole. Only tight virgin rectums were desired in Nam. Later, other penetrations would come. They said it was to protect us against disease. But I swear they stole bits of our souls, needle by fucking needle. This poem is named after my mother. It's called Mabel's Boy. My last two poems. This next poem is a letter to Joe Beam. Joe left us last December, but he is still with us in many other ways. Something broke loose. Something snapped. Something cracked wide open like a raw egg. Something exploded free, expanding in all directions, bound for infinity. Some energy just demanded freedom, and finally just took it. Like Napoleon took the crown of France, like Hannibal took Carthage, like Fidel took Cuba, like the Vietnamese took Vietnam, like Argentina took the Malvinas, like England took them back, like the Sandinistas took Nicaragua, like gays took the streets at Stonewall in '69, like South Africa will be taken. Something broke loose, like Frankenstein from the doctor, like Aretha getting down, like Miles, like Train, like Bird, like Dizzy, like God's rain in the time of Noah. Something broke loose, like a clap of thunder, like the Red Sea rolling back into place over Pharaoh's troops, like a river of coming. Something broke loose, like an angry hive of bees pissed off. Something broke loose in my soul and has leaked into the world. And baby, now it's everywhere. Thank you.
Movement is not only built on demonstrations and rallies and political fight, it's also built on discovering the history of lesbian women and gay men that's been hidden from us, that's been denied and erased. And it's a pleasure to introduce to you Jonathan Ned Katz, noted writer, historian, and author of Gay American History, Lesbians and Gay Men in the USA, and 2 books on African American history, Resistance at Christians, The Fugitive Slave Rebellions, Christiania, PA, and Black Women, a biography for young people of pioneer Lucy Terry Prince. Jonathan writes a monthly column for The Advocate. In 1987, he initiated the annual proclamation of Lesbian and Gay Pride and History Month by the mayor of New York City.
Thanks. I was eating lunch recently in the Greasy Spoon near where I work in New York when my waiter, Sebastian Trisolino, noting that I was reading The Advocate, introduced himself. Learning that I was a gay history hunter, Sebastian told me about his arrest in the June 1969 police raid on the Stonewall. When the police booked us, they asked us our names, Sebastian recalled. I told him, my name is Martha Washington. They said, every faggot's name is Martha Washington. Sebastian raised his head defiantly. I told him, well, I am the Italian Martha Washington. That defiant spirit bequeathed to us 20 years ago by Sebastian Trisolino and the other Stonewall rebels has brought us here today. But we've all come here from different places, along different roads. 20 years ago, some of you were just coming into this world, and I was still coming out. Each of us has our own personal history of the last 2 decades. For history isn't just the big deals of a few great men and great women. It's about how you and I live our everyday lives. It happened in 1970. A straight friend showed me an article in Harper's Magazine by Joseph Epstein, who said, quote, "If I had the power, I would wish homosexuals off the face of the earth." Reading that genocidal wish, that outrageous hate literature, it began to dawn on me that I was oppressed. I began to get angry. Then there's the very first time you attended a meeting of a gay group. In the winter of 1971, with fear and trembling, I walked through the door of a church on 9th Avenue and 28th Street in New York City and attended my first meeting of the Gay Activists Alliance. Now, only once or twice in your life is there a real material wooden door, not a metaphorical door, that you can actually walk through and know that it's going to change your life. Stepping through that door and sitting down among 200 noisy queens and butches and transvestites and hunks and politicos and professors changed my life. And it's a mental revolution. I went home from those groups dizzy, literally dizzy, from so quickly changing my mind about all the bad things I'd been told and believed about homosexuals, about myself. I realized I wasn't a monster. I suddenly realized I too am a member of a put-down group. So sort of like the winners at the Oscar Awards ceremony, I would like to use this opportunity to thank Alan and Bill and Bob and Bruce and Chris and Dan and Dave and Don and Doug and Egmont and Fred and Jeff and Harold. Oh yeah, Harold. And Joe and John and Michael and Terrence and Walter and all the other guys with whom I've shared 20 years of hot communions. Which does bring us to AIDS. Let's immediately note the link between disease, numbers of sex partners, numbers and types of particular acts, and individual susceptibility is complex and causal, not a moral judgment. As they say, a virus has no morals. Many of you no doubt remember the first time you heard about AIDS. Think of next, I remember saying, asking in disbelief. And it turned out it did not just kill gay men, and it turned out to kill many gay men. Many of you also probably recall the first time you came face to face with someone with AIDS. In 1984, in a gay history class I was teaching, Michael Callan introduced himself as a person with AIDS. Despite its being politically incorrect, I recall being frightened, and then I recall getting over that fear, learning the facts about AIDS transmission, and getting to know several people living heroically and creatively with AIDS. Then there was going to see that incredible collective gay folk art memorial, The Quilt, and discovering suddenly Mike Belt's name and the panels for so many others now out of touch forever. And Winston Davidson dying, honored and finally instructed by his choosing to spend some of his rationed hours with me. He made me think, yes, this sexy friendship is a good use of one's little time on earth. This is how, in 1969, I could not possibly have imagined all we would accomplish in 20 years. The amazing, joyful shedding of shame, the mass coming out, the retrieval of our hidden history, the gay institution building, and the national and international impact of our work. Neither could I have imagined the inexpressible sorrow of so much sickness and so many deaths. Truly, these have been our best of times, our worst of times. A few last lines from Coming Out, my play of 1972, are addressed by gay liberationists to straight society and still express my belief in our militant struggle to shape the world. In the past, we came to you quiet. Well, you have missed your chance. We no longer need your sympathy. There'll be no more begging, no more hat in hand. We who were invisible now are walking in the street, smiling at each other openly in the day. At long last, in public, proudly, we dare to speak our name. No, not speak.
Feminist Weekend. Stacy Winder.
Can everybody hear that? Okay, hi everybody. The first song I'm going to sing is a song called A Drum Beat.
Friday. We're going to turn it out.
Bye, honey. I love you.
I love you too.
Different kinds of women, so are gay men, and so is our movement. And the thing that seems to me to be the most extraordinary about where we are right now is that in the midst of an epidemic, which when it first was hitting, you know, like in public debate 6 or 7 years ago, all I heard was, this is the end of the gay movement, there won't be any lesbian gay movement, the epidemic will undercut the movement, there's no way. The reverse has been true. We have absolutely responded as a community to this epidemic. We have absolutely insisted on our right to a gay identity in the face of this epidemic, and we have insisted on our right to build a movement in the face of the epidemic that's broader than just our resistance to how the state has absolutely refused to recognize the risks that we suffer. In the face of that, we have said, this is ours. We're lesbian, we're gay, it's our right, we're building a movement, fuck you, if you don't like it, we're taking it all the way, if you can't get next to us, get out of the way. This is a movement which they would like to say to us is built on anger. It is not, it is a movement based on hope and vision. Our vision of the world, not a vision imposed on us anywhere else, but a vision we're building in the face of the kinds of things that have been done to us. We know better than anyone else what it means to suffer sexual oppression and how that combines with class and race. We know it in our bones. And in the face of it, what have we said? We are not giving up 1 inch of ground, not 1 inch. Wrong! More lesbians and gay men that are younger and younger are coming out all the time. They are in its audience, and they are in the movement, and they are picking it up and carrying it as their vision of where they intend to take it, and it absolutely is a continuation. Where there hadn't been a gay pride march in 10 years, instead of nobody showing up for that gay pride march, 10,000 people came out for a gay pride march in Madison, Wisconsin. Not Chicago, not San Francisco, not even Philly. Madison, Wisconsin. In many places around this country, the vitality of the lesbian and gay movement is erupting even more vibrantly than it's ever been. And that's a good sign for us, because if the only choice of being gay is to be gay in a major city where you have to leave the place that you were born and raised, where you have to deny your identity in order to have your identity, then ultimately people cannot come out the way they need, and we cannot build the movement we need that runs across this country, across all the differences between us, and ties us together in a vision that frees us and frees other people to understand that their sexuality is not based on what was told them by their mother, but on a deeper exploration of who and how they care to love. And we offer that vision to more people than ourselves. We carry that vision out from ourselves to a larger community that needs to hear it. Because it isn't just us that are tied and locked by a heterosexual notion, but a much different idea of sexuality which needs to be thought about by heterosexual people in this country now when they are trying to figure out how to build both relationships and community themselves. Because boy, if anybody looks lost, it looks lost there, not here. We are, I think, to be extraordinarily proud of ourselves, of what we've done in 20 years and what we embody for the next 20 years. We bring hope, we bring vision, we bring sexuality, we bring ourselves to a movement that's bigger than us but has to have us in it. If you don't have us in it, you don't have a movement. Thank you.
Stay for a while. If it gets too hot, go take a bath in the fountain and come back. Recognized performance artist, writer, and independent film and video producer. Her film credits, all of...
Are we ready? Okay, we're ready. First, a
note of calm and solemnity, to first of all thank the task force for this invitation to stand up here in front of you. It's a beautiful day. I don't know how you all pull this off, but you got clout. I'm going to stick with you. And I want to also just bring to mind a dedication. I'd like to dedicate this reading to Joseph Beam and to the Stonewall Posse, because in fact defiance does live on. I'm looking at you. So this first piece, I'm very nervous, but you look fine, very fine. Okay. This first piece was written because, well, I think that history is pretty adept at erasing the contributions of people of color from its pages. This is a process known as whitewash. And I think that it is very important that, in fact, as we document our own history as gay and lesbian people, that we be sure that the rainbow of us is reflective in those pages. I think also that I don't want to be at a 50th anniversary celebration of Stonewall and hear that the roots of this movement began with a couple of WASP interior decorators who were irate after a fierce afternoon of shopping at Neiman Marcus. I don't want to be confused. I don't want to be left out. This is called Lest We Forget. These, the fringe, black, brown, and beige faces of the least of life, took the streets, woman to woman, man to man. It began a blaze, high, tacky queens, blood-soaked crinolines, tear gas and mace, brutality, the menace of the vice, spontaneous riots, bushfire around Stonewall Bar. Meanwhile, the 6 o'clock news brings you the blatant courage of the fag front line. Black and Puerto Rican sodomites, proud lesbian dykes in a face-off with the world. It is 1969. America discovers sexual preference, still believes in Rock Hudson. With the world in living color for 3 nights, Greenwich Village is a minefield. Are you there? Let us now praise a few good women and men, ripe for insurrection on a chafed June night, pushed to the wall, beaten into shadows, cutting back the night. These were the fringe, black, brown, beige faces of the least in life, who ignited a movement to love death. You were a man who got things done. It was days before they found you in the quiet of a room, the long plan accomplished. Our silence killed you, not cause of death nor the pity indulged. We never reached when you stopped. Enshrined on pedestals, never touched. Stars don't cry, legends can't be lonely. Myths never have a slow night. This is a section from a short story in my current manuscript called Public Love. The short story is called The New Order. This is chapter 4. It is opening day at the annual Dame Games. Crowds gather from far and wide, excitement is brewing. The legendary Glade Lesh, supreme ruler of the New Order, is the main attraction. Surrounding her an entourage of freaks and would-be henchwomen. Let's get physical, clamors the crowd. Maniacal applause erupts from the bleachers. High above the Susan Hayward Coliseum, a cloud of reefer and cigarette smoke mushrooms. The climax draws near. Damesville's citizens have come to witness the flesh and spectacle. The Dame Games feature geisha punching, the Rapunzel toss, the cunt jump, and Thunder Dames, a deadly duel between the realm's most valiant gladiator and Damesville's most breathtaking dame. In pork pie hat and wrought iron lingerie, Glade Blesh towers at the podium. With a wave of her rawhide glove, the monarch gauges her omnipotence. She straightens padded shoulders and proclaims, divas and defenders of the realm. Gate crashers and distinguished guests, bull daggers and homegirls alike, welcome to the Dame Games. The cheering fans are in heat. Princess Tango slips into the beer can inferno. From a distance, Tango appraises her old enemy.
The fair-faced Glayblesh came from small-time pimp to prime-time matriarch in 10 swift years. Brute and charisma pour from the shadow where she stands. The ruler decrees, citizens, y'all know I supply what you need. I offer Miss Baby, my wife and royal concubine, to Bathsheba, our main mother, in the center ring. May the best dame win. Hurling a bird of paradise into the silk and sawdust pit, Glayblesh spins on sinister laughter and camel walks to her throne. The official gong resounds. Bathsheba enters first, bare-breasted in styrofoam chaps and chapel veil, fingering her favorite weapon, a barbed wire clutch bag. It's your world, big girl, chants the arena. The state is pleased. Then flecks of sudden light and catcalls fill the stadium as Miss Baby. Well, here goes. My index finger finds the elastic of her panties for the first time. She shifts, gives me her moisture. My nipples rise. Breath escapes me. Her touch dares me to. I unbutton her dress, lift it. She takes me first by the waist, then the wrist, stepping from her panties. She is naked for me. The strength of her legs, the beauty of her sex, our secret treasure we share. She laughs, undressing me. Her tongue finds me. I am hostage, ride the thunder, savor the brown mask of her face, drink her love, enter her every way I can. This is the only moment. She laughs again, yanks my hair, pulls my fever to her. Our pussies meet. We play the tension all over town. We reach the rush together. Suddenly a lurch, our horn blaring. I recognize immediately confused seats and battered faces jammed on this Monday morning bus. Our dreams deferred. The orgasm fades. I look around. Everyone else is dazed. All of us recovering from the privacy of our rush hour fantasies. Lost what we had, what we hoped for. Whatever. Forgive for being a lesbian. I will fully enjoy the joy I feel. Help me out now. Gonna let a little more sweetness in my life, yeah. I'm gonna let a little more sweetness in my life, Hey, these sour grapes are going tonight, you know. These sour grapes are going tonight. I'm gonna let a little more sweetness in my life, yeah. Gonna let a little more sweetness in my life. I'm gonna let a little sweetness in my life, yeah. Hey, you know these sour grapes are going right now. These sour grapes are going today. I'm gonna let a little more sweetness in my life, yeah. Don't you know that I'm gonna let a little more sweetness, gonna let a little more sweetness, gonna let a little more sweetness in my life, yeah.
Susan will be back in a minute. In the meantime, I'm going to introduce Doris Pechkaro, who's the Mid-Atlantic Regional Director of the National Organization for Women. Doris.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here this afternoon in support of the work done by the Philadelphia Lesbian and Gay Task Force, because they have always been there whenever NOW needed them and whenever women's rights was at issue. You know, 2 years ago in the summer, we gathered in the shadow of Independence Hall, for those of you who were there, to protest and speak out for civil rights for lesbians and gays on the anniversary of the celebration of the United States Constitution. And if you will recall, we were accompanied by the likes of the Philadelphia Police Force, the Washington, D.C. Police Force, the Secret Service, the FBI, and the National Park Police Force. It was quite an illustrious gathering of people who were there to protect our right to free speech and free assembly. It was Philadelphia style, I would suggest to you, of the celebration of independence. 2 years later, not to be outdone, Philadelphia has outdone itself again. Right in the shadow of City Hall, the Philadelphia elected officials, not to be outdone by the leaders of the Republican National Committee who resort to innuendos like closet liberals to reproduce and to lash out with bigotry. The Philadelphia elected officials are not afraid to speak out whatever little bigotry and hatred is in their hearts, as they have done so this week in protest against the request for the proclamation of Lesbian and Gay Pride Week. It is a reminder that there is a fight to be fought before our liberty and our civil rights will be assured. And like all fights and like all revolutions, it costs money, and there is no godmother around who's going to foot the bill for this revolution. It is our revolution, and the money must come from us. And we are going to ask you today, people are going around with gray plastic bags and badges. Right on horseback, you just have to dig deep into your pockets for money. The Lesbian and Gay Task Force here in Philadelphia does incredible work. In education, it's the only major city that has counseling for teachers and for counselors. That work has to be funded. The work has to be done to lobby the area media to open up. That funding has to come from no place else but us. So please dig deep into your pockets. Whatever it costs for a night out, whatever you spend when you go out, whatever night you go out or whatever day you go out, that's the amount of money you should dig out and put into the bags. It's your investment into the future. Even though Philadelphia, unfortunately, time and time again, has risen to an occasion to make us shudder at the thought that we are gathered in the city of sisterly and brotherly love and have elected officials who speak out with
This song is dedicated to a few of our friends on City Council. May they someday understand. Raised with violence, and we see the violence everywhere. The violence we live, violence we must face, the violence so we can end the violence. We have learned the violence, and now we must unlearn. Where's the love? Where is the love? Where's the love? Where's the love? Where's the love? So we feel the anger, and we feel the pain, and we cry the wrong, and we deny it as long as we can, but we know the anger is just a means to an end, for the end of violence requires something beyond. We long for love, we long for love, we long for love, we long for love. till they hear our voices with the truth. Our voices pass through the walls of fear, and we reveal the choices as we heal all the voices with the violence behind. We lovingly correct the world unkind, and soon love, I said, soon love takes over. Soon love, you know that very soon love, it's gonna take All right, well, the bottom line is that we're all here because we want a little bit of peace. A little bit of peace sometime for ourselves. To be able to sit out on our front stoop and know that, that the world's working for us. So this is a song about sitting on your front porch and having a good old time. It's called White Porch. Sitting holding hands with you out there, autumn days, summer nights, in our rocking chair, sipping on some cool iced tea and sucking in those mountain breezes, autumn days and summer nights, in our rocking chair, taking time to just do nothing but throw a tennis ball to our old friend Black Dog, pick a couple flowers, put them in a Coke can, sit and watch 'em blue, yeah. And I wanna be on a white porch sitting holding hands with you out there, autumn days and summer nights in our rocking chair, sipping on some cool iced tea and sucking in those mountain breezes, autumn days and summer nights in our rocking chair. We got any whistlers? Join me. All right. Want another try? Come on.
Come on, Anderson, let's go. I've never been in. I come when I do that.
Yeah. And I wanna be a white porch sitting holding hands with you out there, autumn days and summer nights in our rocking chair, yeah. And sipping on some cool iced tea and sucking in those mountain breezes, autumn days and summer nights in our rocking chair, and soaking ourselves in the sun and turning brown as the ground underneath us. We'll pick a bowl of berries and we'll eat them up before we even reach the house, yeah. And I wanna be on a white porch sitting holding hands with you out there, autumn days and summer nights in our rocking chair, sipping on some cool iced tea, sucking in those mountain breezes, autumn days and summer nights in our rocking chair, autumn days, summer nights, rocking chair. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Figured since it's so hot, I'm going to start with a winter poem. Get a little bit of ice and snow. It's called In Winter. In the monumental, memorial white stillness of winter, trees stand nakedly silent, dormant, and the hours taciturn merge one with the other in the unpremeditated desolation of this winter, which finds me trying to forget you, amid the simple and oftentimes uncomplicated routines of my existence,
My world could be so simple, you see. I have been writing poems to a stranger, and my face is unfamiliar as it stares back from the mirror. On window mortals, I could offer you so very little, the solace of conversation, tender words late into evening, and the warmth and refuge of arms that had already begun to ache with the emptiness of throat. You grew into a shadow of yourself, physically weak, but beneath it all such strength. Never give up, life's no ball, you said. I'm afraid that I laugh, I enjoy. Where shall we go if not towards darkness? And armed with such wisdom you put on, strength, dear friend, is something that will forever carry your name. I remember that afternoon you asked whether spring was here. Smells of new earth, and at the window a murmur of light and leaves begging to be let in. And when my words rain over you a lending of waters, you sprout beneath the drizzle a lush and friendly vegetation. And the last poem said a poem for a future departure. Your body perfect as morning has moved on as sound is going to do in empty spaces. Now what's left is a sweet and aching summer, a cool, dirty stone full of grief, running back and forth, taking the recognition and the empty echo of words and hands to try to think to make you stand. Now,
Angela Bowen is a writer, producer, and public speaker. She's co-chair of the National Coalition for Black Lesbians and Gays and editor of this newsletter, Blackout. She founded and directed a dance school and cultural arts center for Black youth in Connecticut, and she currently lives in Boston. Angela Bowen.
Thank you. Wife, mother, choreographer, director of a cultural center. And 2 years previously, I had just ended an affair with a sexy, butchy New York dyke. Just one of the few women flirtations I had over the years, but still unaware that my own identity was lesbian. 20 years ago, Martin Luther King was 1 year dead, the civil rights movement in retreat, the Black Power movement riding high and getting ready for a fall. 20 years ago, 1969, the second wave of the women's movement was beginning. Kate Millett, Robin Morgan, Shulamith Firestone, Charlotte Bunch, Rita Mae Brown, all those uppity women were uniting to give some sass. In 1969, Stonewall riots. When gay men and dykes rose up to fight back, saying in a loud voice, no, 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 we're not going to take it anymore. But was 1969 really the beginning of gay liberation? Or the bursting out of a consciousness that had been steadily on the rise throughout history, being accepted and nourished at certain points, in certain ways, by certain people? Little enclaves of international artists in the late 19th century, early 20s and 30s, and black intellectuals quietly doing their thing and not discussing it during the Harlem Renaissance. There are touchstones, moments in the history of any movement when people within the movement or outside of it become self-consciously aware that something significant has happened. That even those of us who had no knowledge of it at the time. Now, as I look out over this crowd, I take note of some diversity. You know, Audre Lorde, our poet warrior, lesbian, mother of the movement, is always talking about diversity and embracing our difference and making sure we use it so that we can all move ahead together. There's some diversity here, not enough, but I'm grateful for what I see because I understand from the people who live here that it's not always, at least, even this diverse. So we have white, black, brown, yellow, women, men, and trans persons. So it's wonderful for what we have. And one sure thing, our gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans person identities will transport barriers of race and sex. So in that certain area of freedom of choice around our sexual identity, it's worth having a resounding hallelujah that we can come together on that. But I want you to hold that thought. Now, I don't know about here, but in Boston, we're currently engaged in a struggle to pass a statewide civil rights bill, and we're closer to it than we've been in 17 years. And we need all the support we can get from all the people. And it may be reasonable to think that all progressive people would join together in that struggle. But you know, there are reasons, and good reasons, why people don't come together to help us pass that gay rights bill. And I'm going to tell you about a few of them, just a few, because let's face it, there is a time limit to this talk. First of all, many progressive Black, Latin, Asian, Native American, and poor white folks who live in a certain area, or who did live in a certain area of Boston called the South End, have been gentrified out of their homes over the past 15 years in a way that none of us who were brought up in that town could ever have believed. Of all people, about freedom of choice over the body, it's a horrendous thing. I want to tell you about a little thing that's going on in Boston right now. Evelyn Murphy, who's lieutenant governor, has staked out the only position on pro-choice. She's the only pro-choice candidate running for governor. And already, we're being divided up with gay men saying to us, it's all right to vote for this Francis Bellotti, this guy who's an old political pro, who's a father of 12 children, and whose wife is a big mover in the so-called pro-choice movement, which is really the anti-life movement. And on abortion, Frank Bellotti says, well, he's got to wait until the decision comes down from the Supreme Court, because after all, he's going to have to uphold whatever the law happens to be in Massachusetts. This is pretty scary to women who are pro-choice. What more do gay men need to know, except that we're not satisfied with this guy? Yeah. Can you imagine a scenario in which some politico would deny that the state had any obligation to deal with AIDS? And lesbians would say, well, he's pro-choice, so, you know, he can't be perfect on everything, so why not? Let's just go ahead and vote for him. You know, give us a break, open up your eyes, open up your heart, and get to where we all need to be to move forward together on the issues that should be concerning all of us. Yeah! Here's one more reason it's not so easy for those of us who transcend, cross over many different communities to convince people that it's in all our interest to vote for the gay rights bill. A week ago, this past Friday, one of our most important health agencies in Boston held a benefit for its building fund. And what happened that evening indicates why it's so crucial for mainly white organizations, gay or heterosexual, to bring in and to talk to and to run decisions by conscious people of color. I say conscious people of color because there are just as many self-hating people of color as there are gay and lesbian people. What happened was that they had as a fundraiser a group called the Provincetown, the P-Town Review, and they came to Boston to do fundraising. And among them were two of the most racist, because these guys did real trips, particularly on black people. Not that they left out Asians, not that they left out lesbians, not that they left out Jews, not that they left out blind people, not that they left out Polish people. This was the type of humor we were subjected to in a town like Boston, which is already so racially polarized. that anybody with any common sense would be working to bring people together, let alone an organization that's a health organization, a gay organization that claims it's going to be wanting to bring together people of color and lesbians into that center for health care, that they would bring people to that town and put them on that stage and expect us to sit there was disgraceful. Now, my own particular bit of problem that I had, and I've been trying to figure it out until just this morning about 6 o'clock, I figured out why it made me so upset. One of the things that was said on that stage is that Grace Jones was a negative of Bridget Nielsen. Now, among the other awful things that were said, other people have different choices, but that bothered me truly to the bone. And I never got to it. I've been thinking and thinking and saying, black people aren't negatives of white people. That was my first response. How dare you say that? But it still nagged at me, and finally this morning I woke up and I said, I know why. I had a conversation with Joseph Bean a couple of years ago. Philadelphia's Joe Bean, the black movement's Joe Bean, the black gay and lesbian movement's Joe Bean, NCBLG's Joe Bean, Blackout's Joe Bean, the man among all the black gay men I know who was the most feminist of them all. And Joe said to me, you know the trouble with all this racism in the gay community, he said, is that white people don't even see us. It's not that they hate us, they don't see us as anything to hate. We are dismissed, we're not even there. Now, I didn't take that seriously. I said, well, I can't say they don't see us. That doesn't seem right. He said, Angela, they don't even know we're there. And that came back to haunt me, to say that a woman like Grace Jones, whatever you may think of her, and all of us have many different things we think of her, but the woman is so present. She is so vibrant. Can you honestly see her as a negative of Bridget Nielsen? I honest to God didn't know who Bridget Nielsen was. I asked people later, who is this woman? So I found out, but the point is, Grace Jones can be a negative of a Bridget Nielsen. It shows where your head is going to be. You know, as we attempt to pass all kinds of civil rights bills that are going to make it easier for us to live as lesbians, as bisexuals, as gay men, as trans persons in this society, we have to look more deeply within. It's going to devolve on the white people in this country. White people of conscience are going to make the hugest difference in this country because you're the majority. But you know, you got to start checking it out. You're only 20% of the world population. You are not the majority in the world. And it's time to hook that stuff up and kind of start working it together and getting together with other people who have some consciousness in deciding how you're going to live. You know, all over the country, lesbians and feminists are getting together and forming groups where they're dealing with their racism, trying to learn to work with and deal with each other, because the world is getting closer and smaller, and we're going to have to be together. It's time to check yourself out. So I want to know, along with gay rights, what other rights do you want? What are you looking for? You want the right to make the same judgments, the same ugly judgments on people who are different? And women can't now sign on. If they didn't sign on in the first 300 days, which is less than a year, they cannot now join the suit. You see how they do? You see, they're not even trying to pretend to be righteous in their ignorance and discrimination. That's what they're doing. It's really cute. So we've got to institute a battle on the congressional front, because the courts are gone, baby. They are just gone, period. We are regressing as a nation on civil rights for gays and lesbians. But we need help. We need us all together. You remember that Harvey Fierstein once said that he wished